YouTube, last video of 2020, the year which we should just, I was talking to my pal earlier on, it's like, I think we should just do not bother with 2020, just make it 2020 start again tomorrow, and then we just forget about this year. Yeah, so, as I was saying, this is my continuation of all the guitars that I managed to accumulate for myself over this year. I didn't buy any in July, or I didn't acquire any in July, which I don't really know how that happened. So we're now on to September, and I bought myself this Washburn bass. This was an expensive one for me. I didn't know I wanted one. I do have a Washburn Force 4 bass. This is a Force 8. You can't see because it's behind the string. And I bought it a couple of years ago. I got it in a wee shop called Relics in Glasgow, and the body's all smashed up, and I've had it for a couple of years now, and it's sat in my pile of guitars that are in bits since then. I will eventually just make another body for it, I think. I've got this one to draw around now anyway. The difference between the Force 4 and the Force 8, as far as I can tell, is binding, pretty much. This one doesn't have the Force 4 has the one I've got anyway, has a rosewood fingerboard and a Toblerone deep V neck profile. This does not have the deep V neck, although it still might be slightly V. I can't tell. Once you've played a Toblerone, anything less than a pure triangle doesn't seem like a V. This one's a 1983, so this would be the very last of the Yamaki built ones, assuming they were ever made by Yamaki. I heard rumour somewhere that there was a company called Dyna that used to work for Yamaki that used to make Fender-y type guitars, who apparently might have made that Ibanez Blazer as well. Well, from what I know from playing, just owning so many Japanese guitars from this era, it's not miles away. There's definite similarities in quality and build between that Blazer and this. This one is an uncommonly good looking Force bass though. Something to do with the blue and the white binding, and I just, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh wow, I want that. I was never really that keen on the shape. It's basically just a P bass but with deeper cutaways. Actually, my pal Buster's bass thing was talking about it, was mentioning this the other day in one of his videos, and he's got a PV Milestone bass I think he was trying to sell or do up or something, and it's a sort of not entirely dissimilar shape to this, but I want to point out the main difference here is, see the neck on this guitar, the neck goes to here. It's a bolt-on neck, but it goes to here, so if you look on the back, there is no heel, so you can see it goes down in here, so the neck kind of comes in somewhere down in top, below this scratch plate, almost to the pickup, which actually, if you look at Washburn basses that came later, in fact quite a lot of basses, not just Washburn, they did this very thing, apart from, sometimes you get, I've got a 6-string bass that does it, and the Washburn later on ones definitely do it. Yeah, the neck does come out here. It's not hidden behind a scratch plate. The neck just runs in there, and that just gives you that extra ability to get the super high access. But outside, it's a P bass. Like if you drew around it from here all the way around it to here, it's exactly a P bass. It's just that the P bass neck is there, which gives this one a slight feeling of feeling a little bit shorter. It's not its full scale. Yeah, so this was not a guitar that I planned on ever really wanting. Was never really that impressed. I do actually I've got a Force 2, two Force 2s, a single pickup Force 2, a double pickup Force 2, a 3 pickup Force 3, the Force 4 bass, and then the Force 8. As far as I know, there's a Force, the range of the Force basses was pretty much just 4 being this without binding, 8 being this, 40 being the 4 but with active electronics, and 80 being this but with active electronics. This one's just got a DiMarzio type P bass. I've still not changed the knobs. I don't like. In fact, well, these might. I think I might have said this before. They might look quite good on that Antonia Telly. I feel like it needs something other than normal knobs. It's really difficult to try and work out on that one. But I mean, this is a stunning, an awesome bass. I did manage, the one time I managed to break lockdown this year, when in the studio, this is what I took in, and it sounded wonderful. Awesome thing. shop, that was playing on the radio. It got stuck in my head. This is an absolutely wonderful bass. It's kind of, to me, I see it as being a sort of Rickenbacker looky thing. I think that might just be the colour and this big long horn, maybe. I don't know. But it's a full on. This one actually replaced tuners on it. It's got Schaller tuners. It's like a Telecaster head. I like this sort of Go Faster stripe. Makes it look very. It kind of goes with this particular colouring. This is a sort of a 50s car type or a 60s car type thing going on about it. You know, like you can imagine a big Chevy or something. Yeah, so. And everyone who's had a shot at this has just gone, as soon as they've just gone, wow, this is amazing, you sell it. Because it's uncommonly good. It's not a one-piece neck, which I like my one-piece necks, but hey. I prefer a maple fretboard if I can get it. And I think I get away with it in the Sabbath band because Geezer Butler only ever had like 3 basses or something when he was in like the first 10 years of Sabbath, which is what the band I'm in cover, the After the End one. But we don't quite cover the first 10 years. I'm fighting trying to get him to put some technical X in there to try and extend it a little bit. I think the latest one we do, we've played Never Say Die before. But Geezer Butler kind of just used a P bass until somebody stole it, and then he got like a sort of SG type Joe G one, and for one gig, the 1978 concert, he used a Rickenbacker bass. I didn't like it, never used it again. So it's kind of, I get away with it. The Sabbath thing, I feel quite lucky in the Sabbath band actually. Poor Craig doesn't really like SGs, he's a Les Paul man, and if you're going to be Tony Iommi, you've got to play an SG. It's like, you have to, whereas on the bass it's like, I think as long as it's something sort of vintagey, you get away with it. Most of the stuff I play, I've been using the Vulture there, which is the next one after this. So I bought this, I just paid full back, but it wasn't particularly after it until I saw it. It was just as soon as I saw it, I thought this looks awesome. So if I go on to the next one I got, now this is, I'm not really putting this on because there's not strings on it just now. I robbed the strings from this and put them on that because the strings weren't quite, normal strings aren't quite long enough. They were kind of starting to taper somewhere between the first 3 frets. So this is a Washburn Vulture, which as you can see is still needing a lot of polishing done to it. This there's a whole escapade with this. I've owned this for like 2 years. My pal got me it in Denmark, and it was red, and it was like a pure rare because you don't get red ones. And he was adamant that it was it's like factory red. It's totally amazing. And he actually managed to find another one in Tobacco Burst, and he offered to send me the Tobacco Burst one and wipe my face so I didn't have to pay any postage or anything because he wanted the red one. And I was like, I can't not take the red one. It's pure rare. I need to get the red one. I got it in it. It was just like a really shit hand paint job, and I don't know. I mean, I think his excuse must be he never really looked at it, but I mean it was like pure crap looking. Actually, I didn't paint the back cavity cover to show you what colour it was. So that took a lot of work to make that thing work. As I say, I don't have strings on it just now, so I can't actually play it. I was just totally overjoyed when I started taking the paint off that it still had the Washburn logo in the headstock and all that. It looks, I'd like it to be shiny. It's not. I need to get some polishing compound. My pal Alex actually after I wired a guitar for him last week, and he gave me a wee Epiphone Les Paul special. It was all scratched on the surface, so I polished it the best I could, and it looked, he'd done a hell of a lot better job than I did polishing that thing. And he was like trying to hide, like someone had sort of etched, like gothic designs into it. He was trying to get rid of that. All I'm trying to do is make it shiny. It doesn't really have any scratches on it. So I'll get onto that eventually. These are prime candidates for Sabbath basses. In fact, they all are, to be honest. Yep. So that's what's on now. I'll pause and move on to the next guitar. I'll do the pausey thing in a minute. I just might as well just do. I've actually got too many to hang up. This is just going to have to just sit on the floor there. Oh, sit there, that'll be fine. Next is about the bullet. So I'm not really going to play much of these because these were, I did a video for these the other day of the bullet. So this is a 1983. That's it through a bass amp. That's it through a guitar amp. I kind of get used to the shape of this. It's a sort of squished up, it's like a squashed Strat. I don't think it's quite. I need to actually look out my. Got a Music Master bass, a Fender, a Squier Mustang Mikey Way, which is this sort of not Jaguar, Mustang shape, which, or Duosonic, which I don't think this is. I think it's sort of like a Duosonic, but a little bit more, somewhere between a Duosonic sort of outline, but the horns are a bit more stratty. I've already talked about this the other day, so I really don't want to talk about it very much. I bought this just because it was a good buy. I'd heard of Squier bullets. Did I know it said Japan on it? I think I might. I don't know if I knew it said Japan on it. I just thought, oh, bullet, that's good. I just saw these mad pickups and thought, oh, that's I saw these mad pickups and thought, oh, that's cool. And it's also got push button coil splits, which I thought was pretty funky as well. So I went round and tried this, and as soon as I put my hands on it, I was like, yeah, alright, I'm having this. It's not a fix up and sell. I've just replaced the switch that was broken just last week, actually. But this is a really nice little guitar. It feels really small, but I don't think it's down to the body, because the body's not really that small. It's maybe a little bit thinner this way, but it's like proper thickness, and it's sort of the same size. It's full scale. I think it's maybe just because the neck seems dead small, or maybe it can't be the tele headstock because you can't see that when you're playing. But I mean, these are lovely guitars if you get a hold of one. If this one had been a bit more beat up and didn't have the serial number of whatever it is, 16, SQ 3 zeros and 16, so it's like the 16th ever Squier, and it's also in pure mint condition, I would maybe have moved it on, but I really like it. I've actually put my Washburn Stack-in-a-Box pedal back into my pedal board. I'll change the patterns. That's like the Marshall Governor pedal now. don't really want to talk about this one. This is the Ibanez Blazer, only because I've gone over this, especially even last week when I compared this big bullet to this, to the Vendor. Awesome guitars, love it. Got this in October. So the bullet was my August. I managed to put September and August the wrong way round, and yeah, okay. Yeah, so I managed to put August before September before August. So yeah, pure dates are obviously great for me. Yeah, so I got this guitar really cheap. One of your once a year, well, turned out to be twice a year bargains if you're just a pure hawk on Gumtree. Yeah, it was Gumtree. It wasn't even me that found it. This was Craig from the Black Sabbath band found this for me, and it was like pure wow. So cheers for that. I'll mug a drink. I'm actually going to give him a couple of pedals for the info. Obviously I painted it myself. Luckily, in many ways I'm pleased that it had been badly painted when I got it, because this model in 1980, this is an 81 model, but it's in the 82 catalogue, and I think it only came in sort of jobby brown and black, which is neither really colours I really wanted. So this one had actually been stripped and painted navy blue pretty badly, so at least then I had the option to paint it my own silly colour. This was going to be a temporary colour. I tried the dipping thing, it didn't work. I thought, I sod it, hung it up, then went back a couple of days later and kind of went, well, actually, maybe I might actually quite like it. So at least it's different. But I figure doing the sort of dippy painty thing, I can pretty much just sand it back and then do it again, paint it whatever colour I wanted. White would maybe have been an option. I like white guitars. Right, so I'm just going to try and churn through these. Next one coming up. And then onto the bass. So this is you've seen this recently as well. This is my Aria Laser Electric, which I think what they were doing in this sort of era was kind of using up parts of other basses to make this one. The thing that first attracted me to this was the fact it looks like Cliff Burton's one from Metallica, although he's got this neck, but his is like more an RSB shaped body. This is a sort of slightly different one. It's active, and it was peanuts. Actually, this was when I monetised my channel in March or April or something like that. It took me 2 months to get a payment through, and when I did get a payment through, I decided I was going to do this trade up thing, and it kind of filtered away. I never saw anything I really wanted, and ended up buying the Blazer and then buying this a couple of weeks later, and both of these together took up my my YouTube money for the 2 months. So I got two amazing basses. This is the one that when I was originally after I wanted a West Tone Thunder bass, which I keep recommending to people, and this basically is sort of a West Tone Thunder bass. It's a slightly different shape, but it's still Matsumoto, it's still 1985, similar parts, similar person built it, basically what it ends up being. And I don't like black guitars, but I like this one. I don't know where it comes in. Maybe it's just certain shapes. I don't know, because when I saw this, I was like thinking, right, that's getting painted, that's getting dip painted, but it's actually really nice. It was really dirty, and someone had covered the back of it in black tape, which peeled off and it cleaned up pretty nice. Had to do a wee bit of neck repair on this one, and that's why it was so cheap. Oh, that's why the guy who I bought it off found it at the dump, because the fingerboard I think was coming off a little bit. I kind of glued it and clamped it. It's fine. Now the electrics, it's active. Electrics didn't work, but I managed to make them work. Rocking basically just involved buying battery boxes, because the ones that were on it had corroded to bits. So it runs on two. It's like an 18-volt circuit. And it turns that into either a bass boost, the tone control, or a treble boost. Doesn't make a huge difference to the volume though. That's it off. It's on. To be honest, kind of maybe different for different types of music. For me, if it was a case of if it was 50 quid more for the active one, I wouldn't bother. If it was the same price, I would take the active, because you've got a switch to mess about with anyway. So we're going to get rid of the chords I played. the background's not going to take everything else away. That's the last bass, so I might as well just get some distortion treble solo over the top of it again. So here's the Antonia Telly, which was actually in my Trade Tuesday thing, but I decided not to include it, and I just kept it myself. This is a really nice little guitar. The colour just totally does it for me. This had a... It's still there? Still managed to be taken. This is a big Musicians Union sticker on it, which couldn't decide whether I wanted to keep it or not. I've kept that, stuck it to my mirror just so that maybe one day I'll use it for something. I was going to use that sticker to cover up the gap, the dent on that Strat, but I decided not to. So this one came in. I thought it had really knackered frets, but what had happened was they look atrocious. But what's happened is somebody's tried to refret it. Well, this is totally what I reckon. They've gone, right, I'm going to refret this. So they've taken out the first 4 frets and redone them, and then they've realised this is really hard and it's taking forever. So they gave up, and then they went down to the bottom of the neck and they replaced the first 3 frets, which were the ones that were probably worn anyway, and then they just gave up at that. So what we've got is jumbo frets for the last 4 and the first 3, and then these are all skinny original frets. So they look horrendous up close. It looks like what's going on. Why are they? And what's happened is he's put in whoever the owner has put in the new frets, which are like 3 or 4 millimeters higher than the ones that were in it, and they've just filed them flat. So he ended up with these sort of mad bar things. I've now recrowned them and stuff, and it seems to have sorted it completely. The pickups in it were non-original, horrible, sort of broken ones, and there was a big hole in the middle here where someone had obviously had a humbucker at some point, and so I was just going to make it back into a normal telly. The scratch plate, however, isn't a normal telly scratch plate. If you put a telly scratch plate on this, obviously I'm not bothered about having to adjust slight adjustments, but a normal telly scratch plate only comes to about here, which means that you can see the big hole. So this scratch plate really had to stay in order to fill the hole. So I put this Ibanez pickup in the middle and did some fancy stuff with it. So it's still got a 3-way switch, which still operates as you would expect with the 2 telly pickups. These are from a Mexican Dual Sonic. These pickups, I thought they looked cool in this guitar. One of those ones that been sitting in my bag and been waiting to use them. So you basically just got the 3-way switch, just gives you the 3 normal telly sounds, and I went a bit mad with the wiring in this. So what it does is, when you pull up the neck, the volume control, that adds in the appropriate coil of the middle pickup to make it a humbucker. So there's the single coil. And you pull it out. It sounds better, the distortion off, a bit of difference more. Yeah, so single coil in the neck. Then you add in the other one to get a humbucker, which works pretty well. Same thing with the bridge pickup. So bridge pickup on its own really sounds tailly-ish, isn't it? Then you pull it out, there's a humbucker, or like a wide range humbucker. The one thing I haven't yet worked out how it works, right? So see if you're in just single coil mode, let's both pick up bridge, neck, both on. Sounds alright. See if you pull the neck on, that works alright. If you pull the bridge on, it's out of phase for some reason. So if you've got both of them in humbucker mode and on, you get a maybe I'm imagining it. So that's the humbucker and the bridge, and then I single the neck. That's out of phase. I don't understand how it can be out of phase when they're linked up and then not out of phase. There's something in there, but the sounds that I've ended up with are actually useful, so I'm quite used to it. Basically the middle pickup was just to fill in the gap. I just wanted a telly. So this one is from the 70s. I think again, I did videos of all these guitars when I got them, but I'm really enjoying this, and I will be using this in the Kraken House at some point. And then Toria, who also wherever this was made, Ibanez also bought guitars from them, so you can get this exact guitar that's got Ibanez written in the headstock. You can tell, but it's got this metal truss rod cover and this crazy shaped bridge, and also the output jacks on the front. It's got a 3-way switch. So it's although you think, oh, it's just a telly, it's not really. It feels very much like a Fender, though. It feels very much like the Squire Bullet and that the Strat. So another one that kind of I didn't really intend on buying, but once someone gets a certain price, I traded it for a pal, and it's turned out a really nice guitar. So I've got quite a lot of guitars that I want to play more. I did have a problem with this. The reason it's been hanging on my wall over there above the heater for the last few months is the neck is too straight. It's perfectly arrow straight, and it's just, so when I unloosened the truss rod just to give it a little bit of release, it didn't move because that truss rod was probably tightened up in the 80s or something. So it's kind of, the neck is still too straight. Actually, it's not far too straight. In fact, I actually wonder if has it actually moved. I think it might have moved. No, maybe not. Yeah, so what I did was just raise the action a tiny amount. It's still low action, but I had it pure turbo low, and it's like, if you want to have super low action, you can't have the neck totally straight. You need to have a little bit just to give it a little bit more bend, but it's a little bit spanky. Maybe not too much though. I'm now thinking about it because I've got the Strat now. It's like it kind of sounds a bit like this as well. So I think maybe it's just an inherent thing if you've actually got Fender pickups. Maybe that's just part of the sound. It's like very thin and spanky sounding. Right, next. And now we're on to the Yamaha SG. This is an SG 200, which if you go back about a year or something like that, maybe a year and a bit ago, I did a review of my pal Scott's Yamaha SG 200, a white one, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And in the trade thing, the trade Tuesday, I managed to swap and got this, and when I got it, it was like kind of, I wonder if it's something to do with my daylight bulb that I'm using up there. I think it's got lighter. I think that it's bleaching with the UV light. I think I don't seem to remember it being quite. It seemed to be an awful lot darker, or maybe it's just because I put white pickups in it. Yeah, so this is a 1984, I think. It's kind of unknown. I've seen these. Most of these seem to be Japanese. I have seen one that says made in Taiwan on the back of the headstock. This one has been stripped, so there is no serial number. So whether it's Japanese or Taiwanese, I don't know. To be fair, I have only seen one Taiwanese one, and I've seen half a dozen Japanese ones. So I don't know when it's from. There was a serial code on the back of the pickups to get the date. I got this and the guy had put Warman pickups in it, it looked good, but it looked too much like a modern guitar. So luckily he had the original pickups. So I got the original Yamaha pickups. I got the original knobs back, swapped them for the Warmans. Well, I think it looks kind of a bit more vintagey now than it did when I got it. That purely an aesthetic thing. I've actually got it's got a roller bridge on it. I've actually got the original bridge as well. See if it fits back on again. But it's a Yamaha SG, and these things are awesome. It's so loud compared to that telly we were just listening to. Like twice the volume. Yeah. May look to see I've got no drive pedals on. I don't. It's still clean. Bridge. And because you can see it, nothing's plugged into the jack socket. Previous owner had like a variable coil split thing in there, and there was a wee switch. So I've made the switch a coil choice switch. So you've got can't remember which way it goes. That way. So if you put it up the way, you get outer coils, and if you put it down the way, you get inner coils, and if you have it in the middle, you get humbuckers. So it gives you more sounds, but that was really just because there was already a hole there. No, I don't know if it's really one I'm going to be using single coil sounds in very much. It does make it. Yeah, it's definitely got its. You definitely get a more jangly. If there was an acoustic song in the set and you keep the board taking an acoustic, that's how you would use it. Coil split. And I need to reconnect the previous owner moved the jack socket to the end, and I put the original jack socket back in the top. And then every time so far since I did that, it just happened 2 seconds ago when I was plugging it in, trying to tune it in, and it wasn't working. It's because I plugged it into this one when this is the one that's live. So I'm going to just maybe this afternoon just connect them both up, so you can just choose whether you want the top one or the end one. Not really matter, I suppose, but play something on it. we're on to the Line 6 Variacs, which I had one of these before, didn't like it. This one, for some reason I do. I think it might just be the colour, not sure, or maybe just nicer strings, or there's something about this one that I like. Even though the one I had before was the more expensive model, so I think it's a more expensive guitar. This is a cheaper guitar. I think the gubbins and the inside are all the same. So this has got like a knob on it that changes. As you see, it doesn't have any pickups. What it does have is piezo pickups in here, and then computery stuff to make it sound like other guitars. Yeah, I'm going to make a pedal for this. It runs on batteries just now, but I've actually got the parts to make a pedal that would just run it like with a TRS, like a stereo lead, and then you could just run into the pedal and it would give you, means it wouldn't have to use batteries. I've not played this enough really to get full grasp it, but I mean this one is a T model, so this should be a Telecaster. You get 5 sounds each one. Strat, which is one of the ones that actually know what the 5-way switch does, because it just does what a Strat does. So there's its attempt at a neck. Version 4. And then version 2. Bridge pickup. But we just got on at the silly stuff. Les Paul, Special, Rockabilly, Chime, Semi, Jazz Box, Acoustic. That is played through an electric amp, so if I stick it through the bass amp. Sounds quite acoustic, eh? That sounds like a 12 string on it. Actually, can I put that over there? Banjo. It's kind of worth it just for that. I think I merged with resonator. Or that could be sitar. There's a banjo. last thing I'll do. I'll get some rock on the go. Maybe a Les Paul neck pickup. Yeah, so I mean, this is going to be fun. I'm going to give this one a bit longer. So this kind of didn't really fit in with the Trade Tuesday thing. What I did was I swapped this for one of my guitars, the Yamaha RGX, and then I swapped the RGX for the Strat. So I kind of gained this, so I basically just bought this myself. Fun, definitely. I think the way it's looking just now, it's kind of probably more fun playing the banjo thing than it does, because obviously it's got like, or maybe I think I just need to spend, probably just to spend an evening with it. I need to put strings on it. The strings on it aren't new. I'll clean it up a bit, and I'll make the pedal thing so that I can switch. Ideally, the pedal, what we're probably going to do is I'm just going to make it like an old Marshall foot switch. It's just going to have two outputs and an input, and a light bulb for each one of the outputs, and basically with a 9-volt socket on the back, like for a Boss adapter, so you can just plug it in. You stick the guitar into it with a tip ring thing, and it's got two outputs you can switch between with a switch. One going to, well, I've got a switch down there anyway for putting it through the bass amp and the guitar amp, but if you were playing a gig live, you would run the acoustics into the PA, whatever, so you can just switch between whether you're going to the PA or going to the guitar amp, because acoustics are never really going to sound as good through an electric guitar amp as electrics are, and electrics are not going to sound very good going through a PA, so you kind of need that switch anyway. Yeah, but no, these are fun things. I think they're getting a wee bit old fashioned now. I think maybe that's why maybe you can probably pick them up pretty cheap. Whether it's absolutely hideous, this one, see, although it's a hideous shape, having no pickups makes it really ugly, but the one I had before was black with a tortoiseshell scratch plate, and it was absolutely mingbot. Whereas this is, it's got the red and white sort of Starsky and Hutchie looking thing about it. Actually quite like the headstock as well. Just a little bit different, something interesting. No, it seems like a good quality guitar. This is an Indonesia 2005 one. Fun. One more to go. Yeah, so now we're on to my newest guitar, which is the Japanese Photo Flame Strat. I've not played enough of these guitars, any of this lot of guitars really enough to fully get the hang of them. They're just they're all sitting in the criminally underplayed pile, but that's just because they're new. And I keep getting ones that are interesting after having had one for a couple of weeks. You know, I kind of ended up with the Variax and the SG, and this kind of all in a week. Like, which one are you going to play? Just like whatever one's the newest one. But currently, this is the newest one. Had to replace the pickups. You've seen all about this in videos a couple of weeks ago. So I put vintage original pickups in this, or not vintage, but a DiMarzio, a lace sensor, and an original Strat one from the 70s. Wanted it to be a little bit sort of low output, bit more spanky, twangy type thing, so it didn't compete so much with the Blazer, which just get high output pickups in it. And that kind of works. It just means that now, when I'm playing along with this backing track, I need to use a distortion pedal to get it loud enough because you won't hear it over. See, not quite loud enough. trying to end it there. Yeah, so up to the Strat. Yeah, so that wasn't too bad. So this year, 15 guitars I ended up getting for myself, which is ridiculous. And in itself, it's actually quite an impressive collection of 15 guitars. It's not just like, 15 of any type, 15 hand-picked, quite interesting ones. Quite mad the way that 4 of them have turned out to be pretty much very, very similar, because the telly, difficult to point behind me, the telly, the Blazer, the Bullet, and this, all within 6 months, all very similar guitars, all made in the same factory, all Fendery, and it's kind of like, there's the differences between them are not a quality thing. The differences between them are the fact that that's a telly, that's a high output Strat, that's a Bullet. That's a much bigger difference than there being a gap in how expensive or how good the guitars were. So what was the best guitar I got this year? I know which one was the most expensive for me. I'm tempted to think that the most expensive one is the best one, maybe. That's that bass. It's a little bit special. I've never really seen another one. It's very nice. Or I'm saying that one, which I'm a bit against because it was so much work to get one, as you do not find Vulture basses easily at all. I've only ever seen a couple for sale. They were like $1,000, stuff like that. I don't pay that for a guitar. Yeah, so what's the best guitar I got this year? I don't know. Or what's the best combination? But I mean, really, I think the collection is pretty. It's all quite interesting to me. I know different guitars are different interests to different people. I'm obviously mad into my Japanese one, and that's like, well, Japanese, not Japanese, probably Japanese. So it's like, Japanese. So basically, the Variax isn't. It's modern. Everyone else is Japanese, and even from the 6 months before, we got the Aria TSB Japanese, Epiphone EBO. It's not. The Vantage is not. Okay, maybe not so many, and then a couple of Westtones. Yeah, so not so many Japanese guitars in the first half of the year, but the second half of the year was pretty much all Japanese. So fun. Yeah, so what am I going to do next year? What are my plans? I don't know. I need to go to China. I need to go and see Civet. It's totally nuts. Not seeing it for a year. Absolutely going bonkers. Not having contact with my number one fan is just not on. Number one most beautiful fan as well. I would hazard a guess. I don't think there's actually. I think there's maybe out of my 1,500 subs, I think maybe a half a dozen of girls anyway. I'm sure you're very pretty, but you're not going to be as pretty as Civet because she's gorgeous. So that, I don't really know what the plan is apart from that. Keep doing this, do another trade thing at the start of the year, see what I can get to. You can see, you're sort of seeing my addiction problem though, with just having, if I really like something, it's like, it's like, the thing I find hardest to sell is not necessarily the ones that are worth money. If you know what I mean, like, all the ones I've got, for some reason they're not worth an awful lot of money, even though they are the full-blown guitar. This is it's a Fender Strat, a Japanese Fender Strat, but because it's got these chunks out it, it's kind of, it's worth half as much as it should be, sort of thing. And kind of all my guitars fit into that. Even something like that. What's wrong with that? It's a Washburn. It's not a Fender P bass. If that was a Fender P bass, it would be a £2,000 bass because it's as good as any Fender P bass. I don't have a Fender P bass to be properly slagging off, but I do have a Schecter, or two Schecters from the 80s, which were by all accounts better than Fender. So, I would argue whether either of them was better than that. Obviously, I would sell that one first because the Schecters are worth about 10 times as much. But, I like getting things on the cheap. I don't mind scratches and dents, and I suppose you could call it relicking, which I kind of think. Someone commented that this is quite a Rory Gallagher looking guitar, and it's sort of just for having damage on it. It's like, yeah, well, it is. I was actually watching Anderton's the other day, and yesterday they were doing a video for, I think it was pedals or something, and the guy was playing a gold top Les Paul, like what was a modern one, and a big massive gouge, kind of not dissimilar to that on the top of it, but that was relict, so it was meant to be there, and you're like, right, well, it's just like, I suppose if that's what you want. I'm not going down the whether relicking is a good idea or not. I think if you've got the money and that's what you like, then who cares? It's the same thing with all guitars. If you've got the money, then why not go and spend £1,500 on a Strat if you really want one? I wouldn't. I don't think there'd be any difference really between like this or that or the Blazer and a £1,500 one. It'd probably be nicer to look at and maybe a couple of % better, but you don't need it. But if you want to spend your money on that, that's totally fine. Some people don't want to buy 15 guitars in a year. They maybe buy. Some people don't even buy one guitar a year. It's unbelievable these people do exist. So like getting 15 in a year seems a little bit excessive. Yes, I agree, but they're all and enjoy it. So don't be mocking me. Another thing I always use to justify these things is it's like I can sell them. Most of them are probably worth it. If I put them up for sale kind of at the price I paid them for, they'd sell in 10 minutes. So if I could probably add maybe a 10% or a 15% onto them and still sell them all in a night if it came to it. So that's kind of like banking the money. It's not just throwing it away. This is what I'm telling myself. I know that doesn't really exist. So I've basically just been lying about the last few days. I've not really done very many videos. Just been sitting watching Star Wars. Like I was going to do. In fact, I still might do it. I might do a cover of the Mandalorian tune just for the sake of it. I actually sat last night. See that? I showed you this the other day. I've got a mic here with a switch that turns it on, so I can now basically sit in there, put loops in using an acoustic just by pointing at the sound hole. That's making me play the acoustic an awful lot more. I'm really getting into it. I was playing the resonator last night for hours. I was really getting into it. Then I suppose the next thing is some sort of maybe dig out the recording setup. Maybe just start recording something. I just love playing. I don't need much of an excuse to play. I mean, I'm kind of using these videos as an excuse to go an hour. I've been blabbering on. This video should have been shorter. In fact, it was 50 minutes when I picked up this guitar. And I was like, right, that'll end it. Just playing guitar is just awesome fun. And the more you play, the better it gets. So if you're sitting there struggling, I remember when I was starting playing the guitar, knowing 10 things and then running through those 10 things. Every time I picked up the guitar, I'd be playing my. I was going to say, you never forget these things. I've clearly forgotten it. But then the more you play, just basically playing anything, and I'm now at the stage of I can be playing away, like I'm just talking, and I've no idea what I'm doing. I'm just making it up, and sometimes you end up playing things that are nice, and I'm thinking about other things, and deciding what to have for dinner, but things are still just see where your fingers go. I think it's just a muscle memory thing. And I think I do sort of play the same thing all the time, but trying not to. I need to have a look at trying to do, some sort of theory rather than just every single time I put a loop into the machine and then just jam over it. And it's like I have no idea what key we're in with it, and just the first 5 minutes is always finding out which notes work and which ones not to play again. So keep playing the guitar. If you're just starting, keep playing the guitar even more. I know it's great fun to be, we all of us guitarists spend pretty much nowadays. I mean, maybe 20 years ago, people spend an awful lot more time going to shops and reading magazines, whereas now everyone just spends all the time on the internet looking up videos and folk could be looking up folk like me, but looking up catalogues and all these things which you never used to get. Playing the guitar is part of the joy of just playing the guitar, whether you actually physically are actually playing it or not. I'm sure there's people that are really good in the guitar that aren't really interested in them. It's like people that absolutely blow me out of the water completely. And it's like, yeah, so I've got a Telecaster. Oh, what kind? It's a Fender, I think. That's all they know. They don't care. It's like because they're all into the music. Whereas I think there are an awful lot of people are the other way around, where they've got so much equipment and know exactly what everyone's talking about all different stuff, but they can't spend very little time playing. I hope I'm somewhere in the middle where I do play enough. Well, I kind of force myself to by doing all these videos. I mean, that's weird. I don't know. It's 365 days in a year. I've done 300 videos this year anyway. I don't think I've taken that many. Probably more than that. Probably 340 videos. I've had a few days off, but not very many. Which means that every day I've been forced to play the guitar, and even then, as in even more than that, I'm not just playing on my own. I've got the red light on. Well, there's not actually a red light, but you know what I mean. It's like if you've ever tried recording anything yourself, like on a 4-track or something, you can play it. This is great. This is fine. Hit the red light, and then suddenly it's like, oh, this is really difficult. The same thing if you're playing gigs, you know, or playing in front of folk, which is kind of what I'm doing here, sort of somewhere in the middle of playing in front of folk. I can obviously just stop and not upload any of these videos. That's only ever happened half a dozen times or something this year. Sometimes, you know, sometimes I swear uncontrollably, and it's like, damn, don't want to do that. You know, I almost said the DAM word there, I didn't say da. I think you're allowed to swear on YouTube. It's just like, there's something, if you look it up, it's something to do with it. As long as there's no F words in the title, the description, or in the first 30 seconds, then I think that's you onto tier 1 of restrictions sort of thing. So I normally just put that one in just in case I accidentally swear. There's also words that I use which I technically don't know whether they are swear words or not, or who decides that they are. And also the YouTube subtitle thing, if you ever get bored, try turning on the subtitles and it doesn't know what I'm saying at all. So whether it thinks I swore or not, I don't know. Yeah, so rock on, have a great year next year, everybody. Play tons of guitar, buy tons of guitars, look up tons of guitars, enjoy it, and then as soon as gigging comes back, go and see gigs and go and play gigs, and just like a crowd of people, what's that going to be like? I don't know. I don't think we're quite out of the woods yet, but we must be. We must be in a better situation than we were a year ago, because the virus was about a year ago. Because I tried to get a visa to go to China, and the girl behind the counter was like, "No, don't do that." I was like, "All right, well, is that something to do with this this thing? I don't want to say the word in case I get flagged. You know the one, the beer bug. Is it something to do with that?" And she was like, I was like, okay. Like, they obviously, I think that this is only like a couple of weeks before everybody knew about it, but it was known about for a little bit longer. Obviously, not want to cause a panic. So hope everyone's well. Hope nobody loses anyone. Hope nobody's lost anyone this year. Hope nobody loses anyone next year, or from this at all. Stay happy, keep positive, and rock on. And if it does come back to it, I'll get a bottle of Bucky with you at some point. Oh, speaking of Bucky, I need to go drop off a guitar. Still got ages to do it. Sorry the video was late last night. YouTube's either really slow or I keep putting stupidly long videos out. Things be putting stupidly long videos out, so it might be late again tonight, which might be better. So if you're, I'm planning on people watching this particular video is probably after the bells. You're completely blotto, can't really get to sleep. You know, sitting there trying to eat some toast or something like that. That's when you want to be watching this. It'll soothe you to sleep with a nice lullaby of rock on. And thanks everyone for everything this year. It's great. Thanks for my guitars that you bought me, which actually are all on the wall here. So these were all bought with your money. So with you watching these adverts. So bass, guitar. That's the 4 guitars that YouTube bought me. I was going to say I should maybe do a song using them, but I mean, what do I need? I mean, it's probably a little bit excessive. I've got the Les Paul, the Gibson SG, got a bass, got a Strat, and got either one of these would do. I can see that being quite a good one. Might write a song, do that. I'm undecided whether I should be doing covers or not. It's whether I can be bothered learning them, and also I don't know. Some people seem to like them, some people don't like them. It's kind of funny. So it seems to be a bit of a divider. You know, folk actually go, "Ah, be rock, can you cover this?" And then other folk sort of very much suggesting I think you should maybe, one of my pals was like, I should start up another channel if you're going to do covers, and it's like, well, I don't really want to sit and do covers all the time, but I mean, I do like playing. As long as if I did that and did proper covers, I'd actually have to learn how to play the songs properly. Whereas just now it's basically a case of, well, I'll either just wing the words if I know like a verse, or I will print it out on a bit of paper, stick it there, and then spend 5 minutes working out what the verse and chorus are. There we go, that's me learning the song. Just making it up as I go. I could be saying I'm doing that to try and avoid copyright. I'm still keep talking to stop talking. Right, good night, happy new year, have a great time, have a brilliant new year, have a brilliant year next year, and next year we'll have a super proper party because we'll all be safe. Rocking!